Hello, my name's Dan Bragg, and I want to thank you for including me in this 20th anniversary celebration for CASA of Northeast Tennessee. Sorry I couldn't be with you today in person, but I am glad to be able to share with you a little bit about my involvement with CASA over the last 15 years. First, a little about me. I'm from Johnson City. I went to ETSU. I'm currently the Chief Administrative Officer for State of Franklin Healthcare. I've spent most of my career in healthcare. I've been married for 22 years, and we've been blessed with two children who are mostly grown now. I'm probably like the guy in the song from Small Town. I was born in a small town. I'll probably die in this same small town, but we love it here. So I first heard about CASA back in 2005. My mother-in-law, Margie Naylor, was living in Nashville at the time, and she was a CASA advocate, a volunteer. And I started hearing stories about her involvement with CASA and some of the things she was working on, and I was intrigued by that and the work that she was doing, and thought that that was a really unique way to help abused and neglected children. Well, a few years later, I was working as a practice administrator at East Tennessee Brain and Spine Center here in Johnson City, and I hired a nurse practitioner. Her name was Kathy Burniston. And Kathy happened to be the board chair of CASA of Northeast Tennessee at that time. This was around 2010. And so Kathy started talking to me about CASA, and I said, yeah, I've heard of that. And ultimately, Kathy recruited me to be on the board, to serve on the board of directors. And so I did that. And that started a journey that has lasted 14 years and still continues to this day with my involvement with CASA of Northeast Tennessee. So I ended up serving on the board for two consecutive terms of 3 years each, so 6 years total. I was the board chair for a few of those years. I served on the golf committee and was the chair of the golf committee for many years. My wife and I attended many Red Shoe Galas over the years, which was a great event. And my daughter, when she was younger, was even in the American Girl Fashion Show, which I know may bring back good or bad memories for some of you in the room, as that was an event that took a lot of time and effort. But I have also recruited board members, and I have led fundraising campaigns, and I've personally contributed to CASA for the past 14 years and continue to do so. So the question is, why? Why would somebody spend their time and their effort and their money on such a cause? And, you know, some might listen to that and say, well, this guy must just have a lot of spare time. But no, it's actually quite the opposite. So as I mentioned, my career in healthcare, kind of more than a full-time job. My wife and I also own an accounting business, and we have raised two kids during this whole time. So busyness is not really a good reason not to participate in what you feel strongly about. So the real reason is passion. And so I have always been passionate about helping children. And I have done that in many ways, including CASA. I've served in the church, I've served in youth athletics, and as well as in CASA. And I've always found that to be a rewarding use of my time. I have been very blessed in my life. My parents, who are both gone now, were married for 63 years. And I had a wonderful childhood here in Johnson City. And when I walk down the hall in my house and I look at the pictures on the wall of my kids growing up, I know for sure that they've had a good childhood. But there's a lot of people who are not so fortunate right here in our community and around the world. I have personally been impacted by this from I had a sister, an older sister who was adopted. And as well, my wife is originally from South Korea, and she was adopted by an American family, and I've heard her talk about her upbringing. But right here in our community, there are many kids who are not so blessed, who are victims of abuse and neglect. And that is what CASA is here for. So there are a lot of great nonprofit organizations in this area. We're blessed to have so many that help in so many different ways. But none of them serve the children of our community quite the unique way that CASA does. You know, there's a lot of organizations in the community that help adults, and that's good. We need to help them too, the folks who need help. But I've always felt a little differently about helping kids than helping adults. I think in most cases, adults at least have some accountability or responsibility for the situation that they find themselves in. That doesn't mean we shouldn't help them. We absolutely should. I think we're called to help those in need. But kids, I felt particularly passionate about because they have no responsibility for their situation. They're just trying to be kids. They're trying to live their life. They're trying to grow up. They're trying to learn and figure out what this world's all about. And through that, many of them are put in very bad situations, and they don't know, where they're going to be next or where they're going to get their next meal. And those are unfortunate situations. So, as I mentioned, CASA serves a very unique role for abused and neglected children in our communities, and no one else meets them in the courtroom in some of their darkest hours, in their scariest times, and no one else speaks for the child when they cannot speak for themselves. So if you're passionate about helping abused and neglected children in our community, like I am, then I would encourage you to get involved. There's a number of ways you can do that. Because there are more children than CASA can serve. And you're going to hear about how many children CASA has served, and it's impressive. But for everyone that we have served, there are more that we aren't able to get to because of resources and volunteers. And so you can get involved by contributing financially. For less than the cost of your daily Starbucks habit, you can support the organization and help them reach more children. And if that's not if you're not able to give financially, then there are other ways to help. You can give your time. You can serve as a volunteer advocate and get involved directly with the kids and help them. And if that's not possible either, you can serve on the board, or you can even just volunteer for one fundraiser. There's always something going on that you could get involved with if you want to help. So I would highly encourage you to do that. It's very rewarding. It's a great organization. And I will leave you with this. It's a Bible verse, Proverbs 31:8, which says, "Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute." Thank you, and have a great day.